We're joined by our friend, Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee. Senator, thanks for being on the broadcast. Merry Christmas to you and your family. And we look forward to working with you as we have in the past and in the coming new year. I do want to say this. You have been very vocal, and we're pleased that you are, about the border crisis and that every town is now a border town. Every community is a border community. Every city is a border city, which is true because the border crisis is affecting the entire country. What's interesting is a number of the states took up a case to the Supreme Court involving Title 42, which was put in during the previous administration to try to give some control to the border in light of the pandemic because of concerns of increasing vulnerability to citizens in the United States with regard to the COVID. And that was scheduled to end. The administration wanted to end it. Some of the states came in and said, you know what, don't end that so quickly. We don't think that's a good idea. And then what's fascinating, Senator, is it goes to the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice issues a temporary stay, and the government comes in and files a brief saying, we think you should lift the stay, but don't lift it right away because it's going to, quote, increase the unlawful entry border crossings and cause further disruption. So that's what the United States admits, Senator, in their brief.
And we know that they have no plan for how to handle this once Title 42 is lifted. And, Jay, this is the reason they're saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and push these illegal immigrants out across the country. And as you know, Tennessee is going to get bus loads. There will be 50 per bus load. It will be at least 2 every week for the foreseeable future. And these are single adults. These are not families that are escaping. These are single adults. And I think that's so important to note. But this administration is treating every state and every community like they're a border community. They are disrespectful of the people in the states. Tennessee did not want to be a sanctuary state. Our cities didn't want to be sanctuary cities. But in the Biden administration, what they at the White House think is going to trump everything. It's going to trump your state law, your local law. They are going to have their way. And in order to mitigate this crisis at the border with 15,000 people a day coming across the border, they're going to load them up. They're going to move them to different communities. We are trying to halt this and asking the question. Senator Hagerty and I and Governor Lee and Attorney General Skrmetti are asking, have you vetted these people? Have you tested them for COVID? Have you tested them for other diseases? Do you have criminals that are in the population coming? Do you have terrorists? You know, we had 98 known terrorists come across last year. Are there terrorists in the population that you are sending to our states? So we're not getting any response. We're going to continue to push, and we're going to continue to try to halt this action of the federal government.
You know, Senator, one of the things that's just fascinating to me when I look at the brief that was filed by the United States government, and I think this is where it comes into play so significantly. They admit, I want to give you the exact words. This is, again, Title 42 was the ability to use Title 42 is now still in place, so the government can use Title 42 pending what happens at the Supreme Court. The state of Texas, Arizona, other states, Tennessee as well, filed an application for a stay that the district court and the Court of Appeals decision not be implemented. That would have done away with Title 42. I'm not getting to the merits of it. What I'm talking about is just this is what the government puts in their brief to the United States Supreme Court. And no wonder they're asking that if the court denies the stay, they kind of give a stay temporarily because the government says, this is the quote exactly from the brief, Senator, the government recognizes that at the end of Title 42 orders will likely lead to disruption and a temporary increase in unlawful border crossings. The government in no way seeks to minimize the seriousness of that problem. And then when it comes to the relief, they're saying, well, we want you to lift the stay, but don't lift it right away. You got to give us notice because it's going to be chaos at the border.
And they admit that. And see, they have no plan other than, okay, let's put everybody on buses and planes and send them all across the country because we've got these border communities, El Paso, Rio Grande Valley, some communities in counties there in Arizona that are saying, hey, you're running over us. Our citizens are not able to go about their daily lives. Businesses are having problems with theft and crime. So you got to do something. And when you've got the Democrat mayor of El Paso, Texas, declaring an emergency in El Paso, an emergency, when you've got a humanitarian crisis of people that are being raped, that are being drugged as they are making this journey, as they are being physically abused, when you know that drug traffickers are just running into the country, when you know that cartels are operating on U.S. soil. They are so emboldened right now. They've gone into these sanctuary cities. They set up their drug trafficking, their human trafficking, sex trafficking operations. You've got the gangs that are expanding. Why do we have so much crime in the streets? Crime in communities, theft, carjackings. It is the gangs that are taking hold in so many communities across the country. And people are saying, enough already. Let's stop this. But the Biden administration, they are so given to having no borders, to having an end to borders. And a nation that does not have borders does not have sovereignty. And to add insult to injury, you can see, Jay, what they did was to go in here into this omnibus, and they have put money for Turkey and Greece and other countries to have enhanced border security, but zip, nada, none, not a penny for our border protection. But there's money there to mitigate the issues.
Here's what's so interesting about that, because we're actually talking about that later in the broadcast. I'm glad you brought it up. So in the omnibus bill, they have a provision that allocates $410 million for border security for Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, Tunisia, and Oman for enhanced border security, which I'm not opposed to. The whole Middle East has been reshaped in a positive way, and they need border security. But when it comes to the United States, $1.5 billion to the Customs and Border Patrol. But then this is what it says. But those funds are prohibited from being used to acquire, maintain, or extend border security technology and capabilities unless improving processing for the migrants that are coming over. Senator, this is I'm going to say this. This is insane.
It is absurd. Now, see, they stipulate that the money cannot be used to secure our border, but in another section of the bill, they specifically and explicitly give these countries money to enhance their border security. You know, you just can't make this stuff up.
You really can't. You can't make up their brief either saying, hey, you know, we want the stay removed, but don't remove it too quick. I mean, this is what's it's so out of the ordinary. That's being kind, by the way, to the situation. Well, Senator, thanks for being with us. Merry Christmas again to you and your family and your staff, and we look forward to working with you next year. Thanks for your voice and for standing up for all of us.